So Azealia Banks wants homage. And I want $10 million, but baby, I guess we all can't be happy. What is going on, y'all? And welcome back to another episode of the Cake Radio Show by CakeDive. My name is the CakeDive, and I'm very excited to touch into this hot topic. Today, we talking about Azealia Banks and her basically kind of running around asking homage and her recent discourse that she's had on Cowboy Carter, Beyonce's new country album that's out now, as well as her recent spat with Doechii. Let's just get into it. So, if you don't know who Azealia Banks is a artist who has definitely been in the game for a minute. She is most famously known for her feuds and her beefs, but if you want to talk about the music, she's known for hits like 212, Luxury, Miss Camaraderie. These were songs that were definitely had a lot of, it was rap, but also had that inspiration from house, and really were songs that kind of got Azealia Banks on the radar and got her a lot of attention from different news blogs and journalists, blogger, same and basically she's also, as I touched on earlier, she's known for digging into a lot of beefs with pretty much almost any artist on the sun. Like, she has a huge laundry list, a list on the size of the every single law that has been passed in the United States long list of beefs. And a few weeks ago when Cowboy Carter came out, speaking of Cowboy Carter, Beyonce's new album has been really giving all things. Like, it's more than a country album, it's a Beyonce album. She really struck it out home. It's really been a successful album. Like, it's been giving country some new records. It's been giving a lot of girls some exposure. Like, it's giving all the things. Like, period. Like, congratulations to Beyonce and the girls for the success of that album. Like, it is really a hit, undisputably. But that being said, Azealia Banks has been, as soon as as soon as the album released, and as soon as she had started twisting them thumbs on Instagram stories, she was posting about how she felt like she started giving critiques, and she also started, saying that she felt a lot of similarities of Cowboy Carter to some of her music and some of the stuff that she's put out. And I really wasn't taking it with too much weight, because I feel like she always does this. Like, she critiques Beyonce, which is it's a mixed thing, because when you can critique Beyonce, but are the critiques valid is the other thing. And two is the last time, like, it seems like with Renaissance as well, like, she would talk about how, because it was house connected, she felt like there were similarities from Renaissance to some of the music that she's put out. And she was really beating at her chest about how the album had those similarities. She made a post on Instagram showing her in like a cowboy outfit with a horse, and just was like, oh, like, I need like she was basically asking for homage. And a lot of people were not giving that too much weight, and it just kind of passed along as it usually does. But at the same time that was happening, Doechii released, literally the same day that Cowboy Carter released, Doechii released her new single, Alter Ego. It's kicking off her new era, and it features JT. And I don't know where that hit off. Like, again, I'm a for the arts girl, not for the charts girl. But if I need to back up some data, because y'all bringing up the charts, I'll bring up the charts for y'all. So I don't know if it was doing well on the charts, but baby, I felt like it was a hit. Like, it's a great song. JT ate down with her verse. Doechii did a great job with her verse as ever. Like, Doechii has really been on the roll lately, and I think she's really been getting a lot of attention since What It Is. ever since she released that, and the girls gave her flack for collaborating with Kodak Black, which was very fair because Kodak Black is like disgusting and like evil, but with her pushing the song and doing the solo version, and then she did Booty Drop, which also was a hit for the girls. Like, she has kind of locked in her sound, and I think Alter Ego definitely built upon that and gave the girls what they needed. Like, it's a summer bop. Like, I'm ready to be playing this in the club. I'm ready to hear this in the club. I'm ready to hear this in the car. Like, it's giving summer hit. So I'm ready, and I'm hoping that it does well and the girls give her things. But that being said, a lot of the girls have been talking about how, because there's some house elements to Alter Ego, the girls were talking about like, oh, like Doechii is like the new Azealia Banks. Like, Doechii is going places where Azealia Banks was like not going to, and that discourse kept talking, like people kept bringing that up, and frankly, for me, I feel like they're in two different lanes. Like, I feel like, yes, while Doechii has engaged in house elements before, I don't think she's like explicitly like in house like Azealia Banks was dabbling in a house. Like, Azealia Banks was like known to be like an artist of like house music, and a lot of her hits, a lot of the breakout hits that she had were very much in terms of house music, like in the house genre. Whereas with Doechii, up until this point, like a lot of the hits that she's done were not really house connected. Like, a lot of her hits were still very rap, very much R&B sound. So I think the girls was just feeling like bored on Twitter someday and was just like, oh, like let's make the comparison. But I don't think the comparison is all that valid. It's just one single. But I digress. It comes to a head in which Doechii starts talking about, like, asking on Instagram, like, oh, like, what should we name the fans for this era? Like, what should we name the fans? And the girls are giving their spin, their ideas of what they can name. And Azealia Banks pops up in the message, well, not the message, in the comments, and says that Doechii should call the fans the wannabes. She explicitly says definitely should call them the wannabes. And girls were catching wind of it, and Doechii replied, saying, "The first time you came for me, I let it slide out of respect for my elders." I'm assuming that that she came for Doechii before, which I would assume because Azealia Banks comes for everybody. But Doechii says, "The first time you came for me, I let slide out of respect for my elders. It's not my fault you selling soap and I'm selling platinum records. Leave me alone, please." And the platinum record that she talking about is What It Is, which did reach platinum, so congratulations for her. And then where's this other tweet? Hold on. The girls are gagging, of course, on social media, and they're like, "Oh my god, like Doechii really dragged like Azealia." Like, there's the girls who are like, "Doechii really dragged Azealia," and then there's like the Azealia fans who are like, "Oh, like Doechii, like Azealia Banks is like a warrior, like she really like nerd emoji, nerd emoji, nerd emoji." And eventually, Azealia Banks replies on Twitter, because for some reason, one thing about Azealia, she loves hopping, even though she got like 16 million banned accounts and suspended accounts, because she literally says the most like disgusting and vile things on like every social media platform. She somehow like manages to come back. So she has a new Twitter account apparently, and she quote tweeted the Pop Crave tweet talking about when Doechii came for Azealia, and the replies after that. And Azealia said in the tweet, "You mean TDE pay," which is the label slash like group of management team that Doechii is signed to. "You mean TDE paid the streaming farm to make a single no even knew existed go platinum, to try and over exaggerate a semblance of importance or being vital to the music industry? They clearly have not spent a dime of that money on you. You smoke menthol and have yellow teeth." And then she goes to replies and says, "Furthermore, how ironic of you to mention she says, it's in reference to what she was saying about the soap, in such a homophobic manner. Meanwhile, your bozo label mates are," and she kind of goes a little vulgar. And she says, "You must know that you are also too dark-skinned and ugly for anyone to believe that you are a victim out here. You're the antagonist by default." And it's really unfortunate that Azealia Banks went to the lengths of misogynoir to come at Doechii, but that's frankly not surprising because of the fact that Doechii really is like, well, it's not even Doechii. Like Azealia Banks is known to be like it's like a known colorist. Like she really, for someone who is very preachy about um like black women and like how black women are like a part of the narrative and like music and stuff, she is very clear to me that she is very selective in when she applies, you know, that label and when she utilizes misogynoir. And again, like cases like this in which she said that Doechii was very disrespectful, very disgusting, and definitely very internalized. I definitely think that she is someone who experiences like internalized misogyny and like misogynoir and has not went through and got the help to seek that out and just figure out, you know, hey, this is wrong, like this is something that I shouldn't be feeling. But you know, with her, we know very clearly that she is not seeking help. She's not doing anything to improve herself because the same white gaze that she talks about other artists are utilizing to like propel them into fame and like keep them in like loops are the same white gaze that are keeping her in a loop because they are not really asking her to, like, they're not telling her to go in the booth, they're not telling her to go in the studio, they're not telling her to make no more music because she doesn't want to make more music. So that's another thing that I'm going to be discussing. And they're just like very interested in laughing at her, not with her, when she spirals out on Instagram and Twitter, ranting about different artists every day to gain attention because, again, no one's paying attention to the music like that. Like, and then, you know, Doechii replies because obviously they're going back at it, and she replied on her Instagram stories after in between promoting Alter Ego, mind you, and she said, I use my platform to make money and inspire people. Everyone around me is inspired by me. I'm positive influence. You used to be so respected for your talents and your voice. Now you use your platform to gossip about black artists and sell Mary Kay products. You're insufferable. It took you 3 business days to come up with that comeback just to resort to colorism. Boo. Does it not get tiring being an attack dog for the very same white gaze you allegedly vehemently despise? That's the only audience that wants to watch 2 talented black women go at each other's throats. Your brain is fried from meds. You're near immobile from the shots. Don't hurt yourself. You gossip about black artists to stay relevant, and it's sad. You definitely are an issue, just not the icons. You're one post away from the psych ward. Stop it. Your diagnosis is wasted talent. I bowed down. I kissed the ring. I'm me. Hate to do you like this, but you not finna bully me out of my lane. I've done in 2 years of signing what you couldn't do your entire career. You're welcome. And she went back to promoting Alter Ego, which you can stream on your favorite streaming platforms. It is, baby, that what Doechii said was a word. Like, she ate down. Like, she said nothing but the truth, and she was saying everything that everybody else was thinking. Like, even I was thinking that because, baby, Azealia Banks, the thing about Azealia Banks wanting homage so bad from these artists, especially from these established artists who, frankly, did not need her, is that homage comes when, like, you have a legacy, at least a positive, an overall strong legacy. You could have a controversial legacy, but if the music is stronger and more prevalent than the controversy, then you can still get that homage. Like, let's look like Diddy. Everybody knew that Diddy was absolutely like a predator and absolutely disgusting to women and to men. And people joked about it for decades. But people were still allowing him into these spaces, one, because he was a man, but 2, also because the music and the people he put on in the industry have turned around and have become so, like, iconic in music that people are like, well, people were still like, okay, well, maybe he still deserves his flowers. Maybe we can look the other way and turn our other cheek to still give him his things. And eventually we're now here in the year 2024, and we got the lawsuits, and we got, you know, the evidence and stuff coming out, and him falling out, and people are realizing, like, hey, maybe because of the pain of the women and men that have gone through what Diddy has gone through, maybe this wasn't worth it. Maybe he doesn't deserve these things. And even with and again, like this, and even then, that sort of stuff also frankly only applies to men. Like the industry is still very misogynistic. So in a realm where like you got to be aware that like men will get these things and can be held to a lower standard, but the women in the space are not held to that same standard. They have to go above and beyond. They have to be cleaner in terms of their image. That is why, like Rihanna, for example, like Rihanna literally got, had experienced abuse from Chris Brown, and it's not funny, but she literally experienced an abusive relationship in a very horrible situation, and for years up until like after the rated R era, like when she started doing, the anti-era stuff like that, like the girls was still like dragging her and attacking her and criticizing her, saying that like kind of questioning her existence and questioning like if she was really honest about what she was saying about Chris, even though like we all saw the photos and we all saw what happened to her. Megan Thee Stallion is known to be one of the sweetest people on earth in terms of the music industry, but it's the fact that Tory Lanez was able to manipulate and utilize misogynoir and turn these bloggers, a journalist, a blogger, same shit, these blog pages to, question if she was being honest. And even when she was being honest and showing stuff like her feet and being like, hey, this is where that wound came from, like giving her side of the story when she didn't want to in the first place, because she knows how black men, black people in general, but especially black men, are treated in a court system and treated in a world of stuff like that. And for Tory Lanez to take advantage of that, and for other people, Nicki Minaj, to also perpetuate and question if she was being honest, definitely like messed with her and also messed with the legacy. So even now when Megan is putting out music, like you will hear people be like, oh, but she was lying about this, like, or people are like, oh, like I just don't trust her spirit, when it's very strange stuff. But it's the fact that like that stuff exists for like black women only. That doesn't exist when it comes to men. So for Azealia Banks to not only be like an artist who hasn't consistently actively output music, and that music hasn't been successful, because let's face it, her popular music all came out prior to or during the broke with expensive taste era. Slazy didn't really do that much numbers. The girls are still, she keeps teasing fantasy too, but baby, I don't like, we know that it's not real. Like we know that's not happening, and she keeps putting out like she keeps trying to put out new music every 3 decades, and the music's not giving because one, she's burnt all her bridges. Like she has burnt all her bridges. That's the other point. Like it would be one thing if she's putting out music, and regardless of if she burnt these bridges, the music was still charting, or she had fans to push these songs and make it successful. But she doesn't have anybody. Like she does not have anybody. She was about to be on top of the world at one point, but she burnt all her bridges with her collaborators and with the artists that she was working with, to the point in which so many songs have been shelved. She had Rihanna collab. She had Lady Gaga collab. She reportedly had Beyonce collab. She was working with Grime. She was working with so many different artists. And even other artists who weren't working with her but were like giving her things, like Nicki Minaj gave Azealia Banks her props at certain points. But it's the fact that she has burnt her bridges and has talked about everybody in such a negative way, and even for like, and in a lot of cases for no reason at all, that the girls don't want to work with her, and reasonably so, because why would I work with somebody who was just talking about me just out of nowhere? And they're like still an artist that's still like coming through the door. Like she wasn't owed anything, and she had to fight her way for the top. And she was just like, no, I can get my attention from ranting and acting like the Breakfast Club all day. And the white gaze that is used here in this instance were like, oh yes, like the girls were like, the white gays love talking, like love seeing Azealia be like very like spiraling, like crashing out and spiraling out and being so rude online and attacking people and saying the craziest things ever, because they find that to be entertaining. They find that to be entertainment, because she is just like viewed as this crazy lady and almost a caricature. Like, we need to call it what it is. They look at Azealia Banks as almost like a caricature of black women, and it's the most disgusting thing ever. But they look at Azealia Banks as this like caricature, and they're seeing her like crashing out and being mean to everybody. They're like, oh yes, honey, like they find it to be entertaining. And it's got to the point which like they don't care about the music. Like, it'd be one thing if they're like, because if they were really concerned about the music, if they really liked her for the music, everybody would be pushing her to go to the studio. But again, she doesn't, and it's also very clear, like I touched on this earlier, she doesn't want to make music anymore. Like, she really doesn't want to make music anymore. And I think it's very obvious, because the way she's moved around when producing music is very telling of that. As well as the fact that like she's burned so many bridges. Like, every time, like if you look through the history of her like making, Broke with Expensive Taste, and then the future songs that she's put out after that with Swayze, and then just the singles that she's done after that, 80% of the time you will see a note or you will hear something about Azealia Banks going to a new label or meeting with a new team of producers or someone else, and she'll sign with the label, or she'll work with the producers, and you'll think things are going good, and then like a month or so later, she like tries to leave in the deal. She has a public spat talking mess about the label or like the producers, and then the song will never see the light of day. Or even if it does end up being released, like what was that one song? New Bottega was able to come out, but she literally signed with a label. She fell out with the label, and she also like was working with a producer. The label and the producer put the song out. She basically told them to unrelease it, because she was like, "Oh, I didn't tell y'all to put the song out. Like, this was put out without my information, like without my agreement." And she started dragging the label and the producer, because the producer was tagged and credited on the album as like one of the people directly involved alongside Azealia. Like, it was like Azealia Banks and like Darren Foot or whoever produced the album, not the album, the song. And she, like, the song was pulled, and then eventually it was re-released. And again, like, she wasn't really promoting the song, so it was like, again, it didn't do. And the girls who are paying attention to Azealia Banks now are not paying attention to Azealia Banks because of the music. So they're not pushing the song. They're not like, oh, like, they're not talking on social media like, oh, like, Azealia is back. Like, she dropped this new single. Like, nobody was talking about the music, because again, like, she's burned so many bridges, and the people who are tapping into Azealia Banks are not interested in Azealia Banks' music. They're interested in the mess, and it's for all the wrong reasons. They see it as entertainment. So, if she wants homage, and I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve homage. I think she's definitely had left an impact in the industry, and I think that newer artists especially can like credit her in certain cases, like, oh, like, and they have, like, who was that one artist? Troye Sivan. When Troye Sivan released his latest album, like, he was doing the rollout, he was like crediting Azealia Banks. Like, he was like, oh, Azealia Banks, like, she makes good music. Like, he credited her as like inspiration. Like, she said he was being very positive about Azealia Banks and the music that she's put out. And Azealia Banks went on Instagram stories and put like ... Like, I might have been misquoting that. Maybe it was either that or like Troye Sivan was using Azealia Banks song in like the background, was also talking about how much she liked Azealia Banks, and Azealia Banks responded in like a very catty and disrespectful way. So it's the fact that like it's very damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, people want to give Azealia her things, and people have given her things, but she has come against, like, she's attacked the people who have given her flowers, and she's also attacked the artists that wanted to work with her and the producers she wanted to work with her and the labels, which is very, like, who suck because labels are so, you know, rough, especially in this new era of music in which, like, streaming and TikTok and stuff is having such an impact on it. And, you know, the A&R and stuff is weak, and they're not really doing A&R and artists anymore, so they have to kind of figure it out and also be influencers at the same time. The labels that she works with, even when they, back in the day when streaming and like social media was, like, just becoming a thing and rolling out, when Azealia Banks was rolling out, like, she was still having issues with the labels. So it's like, you attacking everybody, and yes, you almost, and the thing is, like, she's not an equal opportunity defender because she's not critiquing the white artists as much as this. She used to critique white artists back in the day because she was dragging, like, Rita Ora and Iggy Azalea back in the day, and would, like, and, like, Lana Del Rey. Those were, like, the three big white artists that she was, like, dragging and attacking. But again, like, the volume is not the same. Like, she's not, like, nowadays she is, as Doechii pointed out, like, she is exclusively and explicitly talking about black artists, and especially dark-skinned black artists. Like, I will never forget, like, I remember, like, I also thought that, like, at some points it was funny to hear, like, what Azealia Banks was saying, but the moment that I pulled out, the moment I started looking at her crazy was when she started dragging Megan Thee Stallion and started questioning if she really got shot or not. Like, that was the biggest, like, whoa. Like, I don't think you... Like, I think you just saying stuff, and I think you're actually absolutely, like, crazy. Like, you need to calm down and get help now, because that is absolutely unacceptable. So, but also she a barb, so, like, no shade to the barbs, but, like, when you start, like, hit dog will holler, I'll say. And that is pretty much my thoughts on the Azealia Banks discourse. I think she can get homage, but I think that she needs to kind of be quiet and work on, you know, get some PR help. Like, get some help and get some PR help, because she has a public image issue that if she wants this homage, if she wants the flowers, she's going to have to she legitimately needs to, like, seek out, like mental health help, because she is going to need to start being nice to people. Like, that's the first thing. She needs to start being nice to people. And she also has to turn around her public image. Once she starts doing that, I think people will start giving her flowers and being nice to her. Like, there's, like, without fail, like, if you start showing that you are a good person, or at least that you can pretend to be a good person, the girls will give you another chance. And that, or it's, you know, even if you're a bad person, like, people will still give you a chance and, like, will pay attention to you if the music is good. If the music is good, that's the asterisk. If she continues down this path, like, she is really not gonna have anything but soap. Like, it's literally just gonna be the soap, and that's it. So that's my thoughts on all that. Let me know in the comments or in the Q&A function if you're listening to this on not music streaming, on wherever you're listening to your podcast, what your thoughts are about this Azealia Banks discourse, whether it was how her thoughts on the COWBOY Carter album was, or how she was with the Doechii, you know, drama, or with any of the other beefs that she did, or my thoughts on it. Let me know how you feel in the comments or in the Q&A function. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on the YouTube channel, on the Cake Radio YouTube channel, or follow us on your favorite podcast platforms. And give us a strong rating if you love this and want more. So that is all from me. This has been a Cake Radio show by CakeDive, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.